And welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a 24-hour readathon and I am so excited to share it with you guys. I just have a couple of fun books that I have been wanting to read. It is also the last day of my Patreon readathon, so gotta get in that last minute reading. Thought I would go ahead and film it as well, so here we are. Very excited to jump into it. I do have quite the TBR. I'm not going to be finishing, well this too, I'm not going to be finishing all of these because this would be a lot, but I'm going to aim to finish like 3, 4? One of these is a graphic novel, so like that wouldn't be too hard, but this is what we're looking at, so let's just go ahead and jump on in to my TBR. So the first book I'm very excited about, but I'm also very hesitant about, because I read the first book in this companion series last year, and I liked it, and I didn't like it. I have very mixed feelings on it, but so many people on my Patreon have been reading this book recently and saying it's really good. So I was influenced. I was like, all right guys, I want to join in. So I do have Mate by Ali Hazelwood and I am going to be reading this today. This is the second book in Ali Hazelwood's like vampire werewolf romance companion series and I feel like it's gonna be a good time. So gonna be starting with this one maybe? Perhaps, I'm not sure. Next up I have another book that a bunch of my patrons were reading this week, so I wanted to join in with this one as well, and that is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. This is another one of T. Kingfisher's horror books. I kind of like her horror books. Some of them haven't been my favorite, but I feel like I need to read some more of them because they're always very darkly funny in a way that I enjoy. So this one is like, I actually don't really know what this one is about. Aside from the fact that it apparently explores the dark twisted roots lurking just beneath the veneer of a perfect home and family. So excited to try this one. Excited to see what I think about it. I do think I might pick this one up on audio and read a little bit of it that way because one of my other main plans for today is to continue to work on my knit sweater. Let me show you guys how it is going. Here's how things are looking so far. I'm currently working on the bottom ribbing. I finished a sleeve and then hopefully I can start working on the other sleeve today. But I'm so excited to work on this because I'm so close to the finish line with it. And I also think it's just been going really well, especially thanks to the sponsor of today's video, who is Craftsy. In case you don't know, Craftsy is an online community that offers over 2,000 different classes that are perfect for crafters and makers of all kinds. Craftsy truly is your online place for all things creative. They have so many different topics that I cannot wait to dive into, such as embroidery, more complex knitting techniques, quilting, sewing, journaling, all things within that realm. Their knitting classes specifically have been super helpful recently as I have been working on my first like knit sweater. I did make a knit cardigan earlier this year, but this is my first knit sweater, which I've always wanted to knit my own sweater, so I'm so happy that I'm finally doing it. I'm at a point right now with the sweater where, as I said, I'm like putting ribbing on things, finishing things off, and I struggled so much with the ribbing on the cardigan that I made earlier this year, so I decided to jump on Craftsy to hopefully clear some things up. So I decided to check out this class called Rock Your Ribbing by Jen Lucas. This whole class is dedicated solely to different ribbing and finishing techniques, so it's been really nice to be able to see the differences between those and kind of hear the benefits and drawbacks of each one. For my sweater, I decided to go with a half-twisted rib for my finishings, and I just really like how it looks. It's very neat, and I'm really happy with the results. But there are a bunch of other knitting classes on there that I'm definitely very interested in checking out. For example, I would really like to try and do some cable work. Not anytime soon, but I would like to watch a couple classes and kind of just see how it's done because I love the look of a cable knit sweater. Another big goal of mine is to do a colorwork garment because I think they're so beautiful. Colorwork intimidates me so much, but I think this class on Intarsia seems like a really good place to start. But they have so many other different topics with different classes and patterns that I would really love to check out, and I think you guys might as well. And there's always something new to check out because they are always adding different classes, so if any of that sounds interesting to you guys, you can click the link in the description or scan the QR code that is on the screen, and you can get your first year of Craftsy Premium for just $1.49, valid for new members only. So thank you so much to Craftsy for sponsoring this video and supporting me and my channel, and to you guys who are watching this video as well, as always, for always supporting me and my channel. Your support truly means the world to me. Thank you for allowing me to do this. And with that, we can get back into the video. As I said, I want to spend a lot of today working on my sweater, that is definitely something I would like to focus on, so we'll put her back in here. I would really like to finish the bottom ribbing and then start working on the sleeve. That is my knitting goal for this next 24 hours. But I do also have more reading plans. The reading plans do not stop there. Next up, I'm definitely planning on rereading one of my favorite graphic novels for this time of year, and that is Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. I've reread this the last like couple of years. It's just so cute and so perfect for this time of year. If you guys haven't read Garlic and the Vampire, please do. It is adorable, honestly. This one is just so fun, so I cannot wait to give it a reread. And then finally, I do have a book that I'm in the middle of that I could also listen to on audio if I would like to, and that is The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I'm currently about 65 pages into this book, and you know, there are things I'm liking about it, and there are things I'm really not liking about it. So, I'm definitely planning on reading a little bit more of it. Slightly hesitant, but the parts that I've liked, I've loved, honestly, because there's kind of like a couple different timelines that we're following in this book. But the timeline that I love is kind of the one that's taking place in the 90s. We're following our main character, Minerva, as she is going to this university in Massachusetts to study horror literature. I wish, honestly, but I definitely could read some more of The Bewitching as well. I don't think I'm gonna finish The Bewitching. That sounds like too many reading plans, but I think I can for sure get through these guys. So these are my actual reading plans. This is my maybe reading plan. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump on into the video. I'm very excited to get into some reading today. I think, let's see, it's currently 9. I think I'm gonna start this at like 10 or 10:30 perhaps. And I'm gonna be starting it by jumping into May, but I'll probably also, you know, like take some time to work on my sweater a little bit after that. I don't know, we'll just kind of see what I get up to throughout the day, but I'm very excited for a day of reading and knitting. It literally sounds so beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoy the vlog, and let's just get on into it. cute. I was gonna sit there. I guess I'm not sitting there. Aw, we can share, can't we? Anyways, quite a bit later. It is currently 3:45. It has been a moment since I started my readathon, and I do have 2 reading updates for you. I have also been working on my sweater a little bit. I've added a couple rows onto the bottom ribbing, and I feel like I might be getting to a point where I will be able to bind it off. It's getting pretty long. I don't know how long I want it to be. I think I need to try it on again for sure and see how it's looking, so I might do that before I might add a few more rows on and then try it on, because I feel like that'll probably be closer to where I want it to be. What are you doing? I have also busted out my last bag of Sour Bats. Hey, she's of course down there moving the tripod around, so please don't mind that. These are the best Halloween Haribo. All of the other Halloween Haribo sucks, honestly. It's not even like it pales in comparison, it's just like not good. But the Sour Bats are delicious, but it's kind of a crime that they only gave me 2 of the bats that have like green apple on them. Only 2 out of this whole bag. They gave me so many orange and black currant, but where's my green apple and black currant? That's what I want to know. But I also do have reading updates. Obviously, I've made progress in both of these books, so let's talk about it. First of all, I jumped into Mate. This was the first book that I decided to read today. Well, partly read today. I'm currently on page 130, so I'm like maybe a little bit over a 1/4 of the way through the book. This is a long book. This is like 450 pages of werewolf romance. I'm like, is this gonna be my thing? I don't know. We're gonna find out though. I've been having a decent time so far. I feel like it'll still be fun. But in this book, we're following our main character, Serena, and at the beginning of the book, she finds out that she has a mate who obviously happens to be the alpha of this local werewolf pack. And naturally, the guy who is her mate, his name is Cohen, I believe, he's kind of a jackass. Like, he honestly kind of sucks a little. And I feel like you can definitely tell that it is this facade that he is putting on. There's definitely a lot more depth to the feelings that he is outwardly expressing to Serena, but like on the outside he's kind of just like, I don't even want you, like I don't even care, whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Because the way he acts towards her does certainly not back up the way he speaks towards her, because the whole time he's like, I don't even care about you that much, like it doesn't have to mean anything, as he's like putting socks on her, making sure she's comfy, tucking her into bed, like doing all these like very caring gestures, but like on the outside he's just like so stoic, not letting her know anything, and it's honestly kind of funny. But I can't remember what exactly you learn in Bride, so I'm gonna keep this vague, but there's kind of like this secondary, well actually it's like the main situation. The whole mate thing is probably the secondary situation. But like the whole main thing that's going on with Serena is that she is a special individual within this world, and at the end of Bride there was some information that was leaked to the general public about her state of being, and there's now a bounty on her head. The humans would like to basically acquire her so they can perform tests on her and study her, and the vampires just like love a quick buck, so they're like, all right, let me also get in on this. So Serena has to turn to Cohen, who is obviously a very powerful alpha leader in the world, for protection basically, and that's kind of, you know, like the forced proximity almost thing that's going on between the two of them. And we're just seeing them butting heads a lot as they have to take up the same space very frequently. And I like their dynamic a lot so far. I feel like it's very fun, despite the fact that he does get on my nerves a little bit now, and he calls people the stupidest names. He called somebody a jizz muffin earlier, and I was like, he sounds like a 13-year-old, but it's fine, I'm gonna let it slide. But I feel like as the romance actually starts to develop in the story, it's gonna be good, and I'm gonna enjoy it. I feel like they already have just a really fun rapport, because he's like a little bit of an asshole, but she also like intentionally irritates him, which is very funny. So I like the dynamic that they have going on here. She's basically like very closed off. She's really hard to ruffle basically, so I don't really think he's used to that. So there's like just a lot of push and pull from the two of them, which I'm liking. I think things are going to be a little bit more tense as the book is progressing, because Serena basically wants to use herself as bait in a certain situation. And obviously Cohen's like, absolutely not, like, not on my watch, blah, 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 even though it's for like a really good cause, and Serena's definitely not going to take no for an answer. So I'm very interested to see how that whole situation develops. And overall, I'm having a good time with Mate so far. It's fun. I'm definitely excited to read some more, but I have also started A House with Good Bones, and I am really, really liking this one so far. I feel like this has the potential to be my new favorite like T. Kingfisher horror book. I feel like from the ones that I've read thus far, I haven't really loved them or really ever been that invested in them, but I'm really loving this story. I also really love our main character, and I'm just so entertained already and fascinated by the things that are going on. But in this book, we're following our main character, Samantha, who is an entomologist, which I absolutely love. I feel like all the people in this book have really interesting jobs, and even the people who are like kind of periphery characters also have really interesting jobs. Like our main character is an entomologist slash archaeologist. One of the other people that's been introduced into the book, whose name is Phil, he's like a master gardener. One of the women that she was talking to at one point in the book said that her daughter was like a medieval studies major, professor? I don't know, but I was like, oh, I wish I could have literally any of these jobs. That sounds so fun. But anyway, we're following Samantha, and she was supposed to go on this kind of archaeological dig to look for, you know, bugs, as an entomologist would do probably. And the dig ends up getting canceled, so she doesn't really have any work for the next month or 2 months or so. So she decides to go spend some time with her mother, who is currently residing in her grandmother's old house. Now Sam and her mother and her brother used to live in this house after her father passed away, but she was like very young at the time. And we've been learning a little bit about their grandmother, who seems like a terrible woman, frankly. She's racist, she's mean to her neighbors, she's mean to her grandchildren, she's just a piece of work, honestly. And when Samantha gets to the house in present day, she kind of starts to notice her mother maybe acting that way, when previously her mother was like the antithesis of her grandmother. So Samantha's like, like, girly, what's going on? So she's trying to sort all that out. She thinks there might be something like medically wrong with her mother. She's doing all this research, trying to figure out what she could possibly do. But at the same time, there seem to be some weird happenings in the house, and I love it when there are weird happenings in the house. Also outside the house, she goes into the garden at one point and she notices there are like no bugs in the garden, which as an entomologist, she is very alarmed by this. But there are also other strange things that have started to happen, and she is so desperately trying to rationalize what's going on, and I admire her for that. But obviously something sinister is going on in this house, and I'm very intrigued to figure out what that happens to be. I've just really liked the setting for this story. I also love Samantha as her main character. She is such a great main character. Her narrative voice is very casual, it's very funny. I feel like she's a very relatable main character, but I also just love how passionate she is about her work and how hyped she gets over bugs. I just love it when people have specialized areas of interest like that, and especially in books when you get to learn a little bit about that. I feel like she's just constantly talking about all these bugs that I've literally never heard of before, and even though I don't obviously like bugs, obviously I'm not a bug fan, can't say I'd want to be an entomologist. When I see a spider in my room, it has 3 seconds to live, I'm not gonna lie. But hearing somebody else be passionate and like talk about how much they just care about their area of study is always fun, and I wasn't expecting that in this book, but I really like that aspect of it. I'm also really interested to get to know some of the like side characters that have been introduced into this book. There is this guy whose name is Phil. As I said, he is the handyman in the neighborhood, I would assume. And Sam has talked to him a few times, so I'm assuming he's gonna become a bigger player in the story. I think maybe there's also like a romance potentially brewing. They're like around the same age, which is really the only indication I've seen, but he talks to her about bugs, and I feel like that's enough for her. So I'm just really intrigued by everything that's happened in this book so far. I'm having a really great time with it, and I definitely am going to listen to the rest of this all in one go. I'm also going to continue to work on my sweater while I listen to the audiobook. I'm thinking I can probably finish the bottom ribbing by the time I finish the book, so that'll be very exciting. So those are kind of my plans for the rest of the night. Finishing up A House with Good Bones, reading some more of Mate. I think right now I might go outside for a little walk. It is a beautiful, gloomy day today. It's been so stunning. I feel like every time I start like a 24-hour readathon and it's gloomy outside, I'm like, oh my god, can't wait for the stunning weather. And then it turns out to be really sunny in the afternoon. But for once, the clouds are still here. So I'm thinking it's a good time to get some fresh air, go out for a walk. Obviously, I'm going to continue to listen to my audiobook for A House with Good Bones, and yeah, maybe I'll see some bugs while I'm out there. Samantha would want me to. is much, much later. It is currently like 11 o'clock, I think. And I truly feel like for 13 hours of reading, I have not done enough reading. So we're just gonna take a more casual approach to this 24-hour readathon. I do think I'm still gonna finish the couple of books that I wanted to, but I don't think I'm gonna get to like The Bewitching or anything. So my new adjusted TBR is A House with Good Bones, Mate, and Garlic and the Vampire. But that's okay because I've still had a really nice day just reading, knitting. Fun knitting update, guys. By the way, because I bound off the bottom of my sweater, it's done. I really like the way that it looks. It doesn't scrunch in too much, and like the amount that it does scrunch in, I think I'll be able to like block it out so it lays flat instead of like scrunching in on my body. My only problem that I encountered is I was doing an Italian bind off with this, which is where you're like sewing it with a needle, and I ran out of yarn with like this much left of the hem, which is honestly so rude. So I have some like random bits of string hanging off here, but I think I can weave them in and it'll be fine. But I also have this weird like little step here. I feel like I'm sure I did something wrong. Maybe I miscounted rows or something, I'm not sure, but that is not going to be noticeable either, so I don't really care that much. But the bottom's done. I am, you know, probably 3/4 of the way finished with my sweater now. Look at that. And I have been thinking and contemplating and trying to figure out what my next project is going to be, and I have no idea what I want to do, honestly. I'm honestly kind of tempted to make another one of these sweaters because I really like how it's turning out. And I wouldn't mind having a brown one, kind of like the same thing with this, where it's like a darker, like, main yarn color with like a lighter colored kid silk mohair, whatever. I feel like that could look kind of cool and brown. Or my even more unhinged thought is to make this sweater, but in green, which I know sounds insane. But there's this really beautiful color of yarn from Knitting for Olive, I think, called Pea Shoots. It is so, like, it is my favorite color of green. It is so stunning. I don't know if I want to spend that much on yarn because I would have to get the yarn and the mohair to go with it, but I'm tempted. I'm so tempted because it's beautiful. I'm a big green fan, if you can't tell. I mean, like, literally all the books I'm reading in this video are green. I'm wearing green. Everything's green. But I'm kind of tempted to make another one of these sweaters because they're really easy to do. The only problem is I adjusted the pattern quite a bit, and I'm a moron and I did not write down any of my adjustments. I think I could maybe just count things on this. It'll be a pain in the ass, but I think it'll still be fine, so. But anyway, that's what I'm leaning towards for my next project, but I'm so excited to start working on the other sleeve so I can finish it, block it. I don't think I'm gonna be able to wear it very soon because this is like a very thick sweater, especially like with the kid silk in it. It's like alpaca, wool, blend, whatever. And it's currently still like 70 degrees outside. I think I might die if I tried to wear this outside. But it does get very cold here in the winter, so I think this will be a perfect winter sweater. And I'm so happy that I'm finally making more progress with it. So probably going to, am I gonna start the sleeve? I don't know. We'll see what I end up doing tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna try and read the rest of Mate tonight. Actually, I do not think I'm gonna be able to finish Mate tonight. I don't know what I'm thinking because it's already 11 o'clock. I literally spent the last hour just talking to my patrons on Discord and just having a silly goofy time. But anyway, none of that has to do with reading. So let me actually give you guys some reading updates because I have been doing reading, shockingly enough. First, let me go ahead and talk about A House with Good Bones because I did finish this book up. This is definitely my new favorite T. Kingfisher horror book that I've read. I feel like it's not even that scary. It's a little bit on the like spooky side. I mean, the whole kind of concept is that it's a haunted house of sorts, but it's not really a scary haunted house. I'm more so just like the vibe of the haunted house in this book because there is a time when you don't really know what's going on, and I like those times a lot. I liked the explanation of everything that was going on. I found that to be very satisfying, but I still enjoyed the mysteriousness in the beginning of the book a lot. But as the book progressed, we continued to follow Sam as she is trying to suss out what is going on in this house. She's learning some things about her family's backstory that may lead to some explanations for what's happening in the present day. I feel like this book definitely took a direction that I wasn't exactly expecting, but I liked it. I also liked the fact that a lot of the horror was very planty, botanical based, and I feel like it worked really well with Samantha's kind of previous knowledge base because a lot of the things that were happening, she's like, oh, I learned about this and like this and this and this, and I feel like it interacted really well with her job. So it kind of made her more equipped to deal with these things that were happening, which I just always enjoy when there's like that level of full circleness going on in a book. It's not just like our character has this random job and it has nothing to do with the plot. I feel like it all fed into the overall plot very well. I also just liked a lot of the themes that were brought into this book. It talks a lot about racism, classism, fat phobia, especially when we're dealing with our main character's grandmother. So I liked the way that was done. And overall, I just really enjoyed this book. I thought it was great. I listened to all of it on audio while I was working on my sweater. I went for my walk earlier today and I walked for like 40 minutes while just listening to the audiobook for this, and it was so nice. My one gripe is, not with this book, but like with my walk, nothing is turning here. There's some color on the trees, but it's been so warm here recently that like nothing is turning, and it makes me sad because by this time in October, I feel like I should be able to get some stunning, beautiful orange, yellow, red leaf shots, but there's like nothing. It's giving me nothing, and I'm sad. Like, I know that just means it's gonna turn later in the season. I want to experience fall as fall is happening, but alas, the weather is not on my side. It makes me sad. It makes me sad for other reasons too, because like, why is it so warm here in October? Concerning. So there's A House with Good Bones. Definitely would recommend if you're on the lookout for a shorter horror work that you can kind of just like read in one go that is still a very satisfying story. I think honestly the main reason I really loved it was our main character Sam. I loved following her as our main character. Her inner monologue is just it's so funny. I just loved her personality a lot. So she really made the book as well. Really liked A House with Good Bones. And I have been doing some more reading of Mate. I have not made enough progress in Mate this evening, but I am now. Hello. Winnie just busted in. She's of course gonna bust in and not come and say hi. Oh, she's playing with a little mouse on the floor. But as I was saying, I have been reading some more of Made. I'm on page 200 now. There's been a reveal that explains some character behaviors that I love how that's gonna feed into the romance. It's gonna be so good, honestly. Plot-wise, I don't really know if much else has happened though. I dare say this book feels too long. Hopefully it's gonna get going in a little bit, but like, why is this book 450 pages? I do think it, you know, gives time to flesh out the characters more and whatever, and I think Allie Hazelwood is doing a good job at that, but I feel like I'm just flagging a little bit with the story, and I'm like, what's happened? But for right now, I just feel like I'm in a little bit of a lull with the story, but I'm still excited to read more. Regardless, I'm excited to read more. I really like the dynamic between Serena and Cohen. I'm getting more and more convinced by the romance. I just feel like it's been setting up some good tension. It's got the yearning aspect to it because obviously you can tell he is so down bad for her. Like, I love that. I love that. But there are also like some other non-romance related plot points that have been brought up that are very intriguing. I don't exactly know what this is going to mean for our characters. I'm a little concerned to see. Seeing as it's a romance book, I'm gonna assume nothing too serious, but I'm still just like, maybe this will be like third act conflict setup and it'll actually be like a decent third act conflict. Because the third act conflict in Bride still makes me mad. Like, I don't really remember much else about Bride, but I remember that the third act conflict was just convoluted and stupid. But some romance books just throw in the most ridiculous out of left field fight that the characters are having, and they're like, look, third act conflict. And I'm like, what do you mean third act conflict? Where'd this come from? And I feel like this book isn't gonna give me that feeling. If this book is 450 pages and it gives me that feeling, I'm gonna throw the book across the room. But I have more faith in Allie Hazelwood than that. My last read by her was a smashing success, honestly. Give me more Hot for Slayer, please. So I'm definitely gonna read as much of this as I can tonight. As I said, it's like 11. And I never really try to stay up that late for my 24-hour readathons because I value my sleep schedule more than I value finishing an obscene amount of pages in a vlog. So I am probably gonna go to sleep in like 2 hours, and I don't think I will be able to finish this book in 2 hours. So I'll probably have to finish it up tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to stay up as late as possible because I am just interested to see where the second half of this book is going to go. But I am going to go take off my makeup, get comfy, do some reading, but I'm thinking tomorrow I would like to make my Q3 wrap-up spread. I just realized earlier today that I haven't made that yet. So I'm gonna be doing my spread for all of the books that I've read in July, August, and September. Hopefully it's a nice even number so I can put it in a nice even amount of rows. But I'm going to do that. I just wanted to make a journal spread. I was like, but what am I gonna make a journal spread of? But like, it came to me, so I'm very excited to work on that tomorrow. But those are tomorrow's plans. Tonight's plans literally just include me reading more of Bride. All right, so it is the next morning. I ended up staying up until like 2 o'clock last night, and then I fell asleep while I was reading, so no final update on that. But I'm back. I'm looking a little bit worse for wear, but I've had like 5 hours of sleep, so do not hold it against me. But I'm here to wrap up the video actually, because it is currently 11:30, which means my readathon ended a while ago. And we need to talk about the books that I ended up reading. I finished 2 books since the last time that I talked to you. I also did some journaling this morning, as you guys saw. I made my Q3 wrap-up spread, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm really enjoying doing these quarterly wrap-up spreads as opposed to what I was doing initially with my book covers, where I was sticking them all just like on a page, like on a blank page. As I was reading them, I like being able to look at all of the books that I've read over the last 3 months at a glance. I just feel like it's a little bit more satisfying that way. I like the way it looks in my journal better than what I have been doing. So definitely will continue to do my quarterly wrap-ups going forward. I'm very excited to make the one for all the reading that I've been doing at the end of the year, obviously in a couple months here. So would recommend trying out a quarterly wrap-up spread. I'm a really big fan of them. But I've also done some reading since the last time that we talked, so let's talk about the 2 books that I have finished, okay? So first of all, I finished Upmate. I read the rest of it last night and this morning, and I probably feel like I should stop reading werewolf books. I have given them a fair shot. I've read, well, 2 this year so far. I don't really know if I've read any previously, aside from like just this one in fan service, but I do not like werewolves as an element in a romance story. I don't like the wolf dynamics that are always present, especially with their main character's love interest being an alpha. It just grinds my gears when he is telling her what to do all the time. And you know, if she wants to assent to that, that's fine. If that's the thing that they have going on, then like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that in this scenario, but I do not personally like it, and it gets on my nerves. So I think this may be the last werewolf book that I read. Aside from that, I'd say I still enjoyed my time reading it. It's fun. It's an Allie Hazelwood book. Obviously, it's probably gonna be a pretty good time, but as a supernatural element in a story, I like werewolves to be a side plot, honestly. So like in Vampire Diaries Twilight, you know how the main focus is the vampires and like the werewolves are just to the side doing whatever they do? That's fine. I like them in that scenario. I think it's interesting to learn about werewolves in that capacity, but like both of our main characters being werewolves, I'm like, eh. I'm just not a big fan on that front. I still like enjoyed the romance. I thought it was fine. It wasn't my favorite thing. Like honestly, if these 2 weren't mates, would they be attracted to each other at all? I'm not sure. And like for a romance book, I'm like, is that good? Like probably not. As this book progressed though, I did start to enjoy the plot. I thought we were uncovering some things about Serena's past. We were uncovering some things about these fringe werewolf groups that were honestly kind of interesting. The second half of this book really picked up plot-wise, and I enjoyed a lot of the things that we were learning. There were some revelations. There were some, I was gonna say some reveals, but I guess that's the same thing as a revelation. But there were some more personal things at stake. There were some more large-scale things happening too. So I thought the plot was pretty engaging. I enjoyed it. And there were some moments when I was like, oh my god, no way. So that's always good. But my main complaint with this book, honestly, even aside from the whole werewolf thing, is that it feels too long. Again, it's 450 pages, and I am leaving the book kind of thinking that it didn't need to be 450 pages, which is not good. I'm not always against a long romance book. I mean, for example, I read If It Makes You Happy last month, and that book is like 500 and something pages. It's a long romance book. But it didn't feel long. I just feel like all the pages in that book were used very purposefully. I feel like the longer page length allowed the characters to feel really fleshed out. It allowed them to kind of explore and sit with their feelings a little bit, and it didn't feel like a 500-page book. This one, I got to page like, 300. I was like, what do you mean I still have 150 pages left? What else could possibly need to happen? So I just wish the beginning of this book was like a little bit shorter, a little bit truncated, if you will, because I feel like there was maybe a little too much downtime for our characters, and I don't like them enough to want to hang out with them in that downtime. I feel like if this book was like a snappy 375, then it would have been good, but I just feel like this definitely dragged in places when it really didn't need to. I'm not mad that I read Mate. I'm happy that I read it. It was fun. It's good for October. I like the setting of this book. It's set in the Pacific Northwest, but you also end up seeing this very small, like, werewolf community. It's like a small town romance vibe, but with much, much higher stakes. But I just don't think I should read more werewolf books. I think that's the conclusion that I've come to. Just the whole like pack dynamic thing, it's just like, ugh, not for me. However, I am begging, truly, on my knees, for Ali Hazelwood to write a longer vampire romance book. No werewolves. I don't want a vampire werewolf romance book like Bride was. I want her to write a dedicated vampire romance book. It would be so good. If it's anything like Hot for Slayer, it's so good. I'm still thinking about Hot for Slayer. How could she write that? And then like give me this. It disappoints me. Yeah, those are my final thoughts on Mate. I think I'm gonna put it on my Pango right after I film this update. But after I finished Made Up this morning, I decided to reread, as you saw, Garlic and the Vampire. And this was honestly the perfect way to end my readathon. I love rereading this book every single year. This is a very cute graphic novel about these anthropomorphic vegetables, and we're following our main character, Garlic. And they notice there is this big castle up on the hill. Look, I wanna live there. Would love to live there. So they decide they need to send somebody in to investigate what's going on in case the vampire is evil and, you know, doing bad stuff or whatever. So naturally, because Garlic is a garlic bulb, she is chosen for the job. And she's a very anxious bulb. I do love the fact that this book is dedicated to all of the anxious bulbs. But she ends up finding the strength and the courage to go confront the vampire, and it ends up being not as bad as she thought it was gonna be. It's just very cute. It is perfect for this time of year. The illustrations are absolutely beautiful. I love Brie Paulson's art style so much. I mean, look at this. Stunning. Look at some of the stills of the garden they have. So cute. I just love everything about this book, and I love rereading it every single fall. It's just so cute. If you guys have not read Garlic and the Vampire, I would highly recommend that you do so. There is a sequel to this graphic novel called Garlic and the Witch. I can't really say I recommend that one as freely as I would recommend this one. It's just not my favorite. I don't like the direction that the story takes. I feel like it kind of takes the whimsy out of these graphic novels, and I don't love that because obviously we all know I love some whimsy, and this, so whimsical. If you want a whimsical fall read, pick this up. But Garlic and the Witch just goes in a direction that's like not that fun, honestly. You can definitely read this one as a standalone though. So like, you should still really pick this up. So those are the last two books that I read for my readathon, and I am done. So how many pages have I read? I don't think I've read that many pages, honestly. I think I read like almost 700 pages physically. I'm not counting the ones from Garlic and the Vampire because it's a graphic novel, but I read some books that I've been wanting to read. I worked on my sweater. I'm still so happy about my sweater. I can't wait to get back into it and start working on my other sleeve, but I am afraid I will not have any knitting time this week because I have 2 midterms on Thursday that I desperately need to start studying for. So that's what I'm gonna be doing for the next 3 days straight. But then after that, it should be very chill again, and I cannot wait for that. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. As I said, I had a really nice time. Any day that I get to dedicate to reading, knitting, going on walks, journaling is a good day in my book. I feel like it was honestly the perfect way to unwind before I jump into my aggressive study mode. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. Before we go, I would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. But with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope you're all having an amazing Monday. I hope you're all having an amazing October, or I just hope you're having an amazing time whenever you're watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!